So, the daily prayers for Orthodox Christians. And then I got the Ancient Christianity, Orthodox Study Bible.
Okay.
It's from Thomas Nelson.
That one's the New King James Version. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. So you have prayers to work with. Obviously, I mean, if you don't have any more, if you have more questions for us here, please feel free to ask. But we do this every Sunday.
Here's another question.
Yeah.
I'll say this is that.
Degenerate mean?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Glenn.
What does degenerate mean?
Degenerate, effectively, a person who's living kind of crassly and openly in an immoral lifestyle.
Now, the definition from what I understand is like mental, physical, and morally impaired, right?
Would that no, because that could be like a retarded person.
Well, that's pretty degenerate.
Well, that's not. But retarded people aren't necessarily some of the. Okay, first off, some of the mentally impaired people are some of the nicest people in the world. They're not
absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. I don't think that degenerate has to be a voluntary thing. It can't be a involuntary thing.
That would be like somebody that chooses to not treat their body as a temple would be like a degenerate.
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
how about going from the image of God down to a beast? Because you were generated to be honorable, and now you have degenerated into the place of a beast.
That's a good.
That's kind of what Darwinism heads to, that kind of mindset.
So then extrapolating from that definition, then degenerate would mean much more than just like sexually immoral. It could mean a wide variety of things. It's like a overarching like umbrella that could
a lawlessness.
Yeah.
If you look at the case of Nebuchadnezzar, where he was extremely proud about his power and his empire, and so the Lord took away his reasoning ability, and so he acted like a beast. He ate grass, and he went around and his hair grew, and so not only is it a moral problem, but it's a pride problem. It's a spiritual problem where a person raises themselves up in the face of God, and God puts them down to a beast of the ground. And so it's not just in morally, sexually, or whatever. It's also intellectually. You lose your faculties and you start acting like a beast. And so actually, you're seeing that more and more today, in all kinds of ways.
Yeah, so I just was trying to figure that out because I hear that term getting thrown around only specifically when it comes to like people that are sexually immoral, what they are deemed to be sexually immoral. But like I'm like, well, wait a minute. If it means this, it has to mean much more than just this thing. That would be just perversion.
Well, like if you think of all the people on like the shows about the heavily overweight people that totally own it. They were like, yeah, I got here because I just love eating and I can't stop. Like that's also degenerate. It's not pornographic, but it is degenerate. You're ruining the body that God gave you. I thought that Father Boniface and Unseen Warfare's comments about becoming bestial, you actually find that in the Desert Fathers, where they talk about the different stages of men, and they talk about the average man is what we call a practical man in the church. He's not perfect, etc. He's not a spiritual man, but at least he's not ruining himself. But when people ruin themselves, they're usually referred to as the bestial man. They're no longer thinking rationally, but they're acting with animal desire.
Yeah, they become the passions rule. Their passions rule. The intellect doesn't rule. The honor of God, the honorable position of man doesn't rule. The passions rule, and so they become like beasts.
Exactly.
Yeah, and Revelation talks about the beast and
right.
This whole thing. I think that's what the nature of the beast is this type of lawlessness, and Christ also says, many will say to me in the last day, Lord, Lord, didn't we, prophesy in your name and cast out demons in your name and do all these, wonders in
be like, I never knew you.
And he says, yeah, I never knew you. Away from me, you practice lawlessness or iniquity. It's this rebelling against God's commandments.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'll tell you, I'll just add a point about Rodney Howard Brown, because I've been to his meetings. He did an anti-vaccination crusade in Tampa a couple years ago. I mean, over in Plant City. And I was on that issue, so I went to it. But he will present the gospel as, the death, burial, resurrection of Christ. You need to put your trust in him and turn from sin. But he's also packaged with that charismatic ethos and all the extra baggage. And not only that, but he is also an Americanist. He's, really pro-America. And he had Michael Flynn at the same meeting, and Michael quotes from heretical people, Americanism, and, God made America, and the Constitution's the greatest thing since sliced bread, all that narrative. And so you have people, again, in a religious way, living by their passions, and at the same time, real Americanists too. So we're really, a false revival is going on in this country, and they're helping it.
One thing to add, Mr. Lawrence, is that the Holy Fathers, I've never seen the term degenerate, which does come from Greek. I've never seen that term used in the Holy Fathers, but I have seen the term more often used by the Holy Fathers in the Orthodox Church as a reprobate, which is a bit more specific to the idea of someone that just lets their passions run loose. Because degenerate, as you mentioned, does mean, like, it could mean someone with physical disabilities or infirmities or whatnot. So they use the term reprobate, which refers to essentially what people use the term degenerate as nowadays, incorrectly.
Well, I think reprobate also has the idea of when you have the impure, because if you were called, I think there's a scriptures use reprobate silver. In other words, when they refine metals, you have to go through a process of melting it, cleaning it, pulling it out, remelting it, stuff like that. Reprobate silver is like rejected because it's impure.
Yeah. I didn't think about that.
Well, there's a lot to go over. I know it's a, kind of a big, it's kind of a big thing, but, if you have questions for us, Glenn, you're always welcome to pop on, just like today. I would suggest, using that handy prayer book, when you can, and, just keep praying. And if you ever have questions about Orthodoxy, we're right here every Sunday.
Well, thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. I appreciate your time and your willingness to answer my questions.
Anytime.
I will look forward to speaking to you guys next time.
Awesome. All right. Well, Glenn, thank you so much. God bless you. And you have a great night.
You as well. Bye.
Yeah.
I know. All right. Now, Saba, I know you've been patient. You've been waiting. We have Ezekiel has popped up. All righty then. So you sent me a Google Drive about your last
Yes, I was
trip.
hoping.
Give me a moment. Let me
I was hoping you got that, but
yep, I did.
Just dealing with